from the word, oh, thanks. Glad somebody got this. Enthea comes from the word entheogen, which is a medicine that induces an altered state of consciousness. So psychedelics do this, cannabis does this, and we're a team of nurses who guide people on healing with these types of medicines. And we are nurse-led, trauma-informed, psychedelic and cannabis wellness practice dedicated to helping you heal. A little bit about our services. We offer primarily one-on-one guided microdosing support with our amazing nurses who are going to introduce themselves in a little bit. We will be running a group program this summer called our Summer Serenity Microdosing Group Program. We'll have a little bit of information on that later too. Integration coaching. Integration means implementing the medicine into your daily life. Anyone can take a substance, but it's how to implement the changes in your life. And then we design the protocol and teach you guys how to microdose to get the effects that you're looking for. The approach that we use is nurse-led with clinical expertise. All of our nurses are trained in both Western medicine, so they're very informed on pharmaceuticals and coming off of pharmaceuticals, and then holistic plant medicine. And we use science-backed protocols. And then we do have a product line too of hemp products, oils, edibles, tinctures, and suppositories. We have a 3-day ECS reset tolerance break supplement pack also for those who have trouble getting through a tolerance break. We have that available. We do offer free nurse guidance. And because we're coming off of a big holiday weekend with Bicycle Day and 420, the discount code Bicycle 420 is still active on the website. So you can take advantage of that with a 25% discount. That will end at midnight. Okay, let's get into microdosing. What exactly is microdosing mushrooms? So most of our clients are microdosing mushrooms. We do have some microdosing LSD. The two act very similar on the same receptors in the body, but most people prefer to start with mushrooms. We do have a couple of LSD stories tonight, which are really exciting. So microdosing mushrooms involves taking very, very sub-perceptual doses of the mushrooms. So a normal dose where you're actually like feeling something and tripping is, can start at like 1 to 2 grams. And our clients are typically starting at 0.05 grams. So a fraction of that. And a microdose is something that you can take and typically go about your day. And a lot of times it'll make your day better. So it's not something that you are, again, you're not tripping. You're taking it to be more functional throughout the day. There's no hallucinating. There's, yeah, we'll have the nurses explain a little bit about that too. And you'll see in the client stories that it's sub-perceptual. Some people do feel a little bit of something, but it's so minimal. And then it's intentional protocols. So our nurses guide patients on microdosing the right way to get the effects that they're looking for. So sometimes it's a specific protocol, 3 days a week, either every other day or like 3 days on, 4 days off. And it's really our nurses empower our clients to find the right dose for them. So it's very structured, but also very nurse-led and client-led. And then our nurses are supervising the process. So especially in patients who are coming off of antidepressants and other medications, our nurses are guiding on how to dose appropriately during that wean and during that taper to minimize the withdrawal effects and how it can help and how it has helped a lot of our people. What we see is mental clarity. We see that brain chatter just quiets down, that negative self-talk. It just quiets down and stops a lot of time for a lot of people. We see an uplift in mood. We see emotional balance, less reactivity, and then nervous system support. And here's just a small list of the types of clients that we have worked with. So a lot of this is a lot of mental health, people healing from trauma, either in childhood or chronic stress in adulthood, depression, like I said, antidepressant and some medication weaning. We have seen this help with excessive cannabis use in those who find themselves in an unhealthy relationship and problematic use with cannabis. We found that microdosing can help to reframe and better that relationship to one of a little bit more healthy. People overcoming grief and loss, trauma and PTSD, neurodivergence. We're going to see a lot of neurodivergence in our stories tonight. Brain injury recovery, some phenomenal results that we have seen from that. Simple things like brain fog in something like perimenopause. It's been extremely helpful. Self-worth and identity, burnout and emotional exhaustion, plus many, many more. And a lot of these, you're not going to see in the headlines and you're not going to see in the research, but they are still life transforming, which is why, we're sharing these stories tonight. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Lacey and then Ariane. We have two incredible nurses. Believe it or not, I don't work with clients because these two are absolutely incredible at what they do and how they work with our clients. So, Lacey, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Lacey. I am a nurse. I've been a nurse for about 17 years. I am also a national board certified health and wellness coach. Um, I love what I do. I wrapped up with a client today, and coming to the end of a journey with a client is such a privilege. Um, Being able to do what I do is such a privilege. Being able to witness the things that I witness is such a privilege that I do not in any way take for granted. I came to doing this through my own journey with mushrooms. When I say my life is transformed in the last 5 years, I mean every aspect of my life, from no longer working in nursing, inpatient at least, to all of my relationships, including my marriage. I've been able to show up differently, and after being together for 28 years, our marriage is stronger than it ever has been, and I can absolutely say that a lot of that has been due to mushrooms. Um, yeah. So working with people in this capacity has again been so incredibly enriching, and it's shifted my life in ways that I never would have expected.
All right. Thank you, Lacey. Ariane, you're muted.
Appreciate it. My name is Ariane. I've been a nurse for almost 19 years at this point. My primary background's working in the emergency room. I've worked in mental health for a really long time, and my journey here has been interesting. It came from doing my own work, being really curious around alternatives, and getting to know myself in different capacities because I was on antidepressants collectively for 15 years. Had multiple diagnoses, was on a bunch of different meds, and was able to really turn my life around. And a big part of that was utilizing psychedelics to help. And since then, and my journey starting, I've stepped into this role, and similar to what Lacey said, I just have a lot of gratitude for being able to work with people in this capacity, help guide them. Like, I don't call myself a coach, I call myself a guide, because I'm not here coaching on anything. I'm guiding. This is very co-creative. And just being a witness to the journey so that people can start living lives that they feel really nourish their souls and help them thrive. I love helping people come down off of meds, especially since I came down off my own. I've had a lot of trials, feedback received from that process. I've learned a lot, and I've been doing this work for since 2021. And it's been amazing. So I'm like so excited that some of these people have decided to like share, because it's one thing for me to like talk about microdosing being the experience and the shifts that people experience in their life and the transformations that people have. But it's it's a lot better when it's actually coming from the people that are doing it. So thank you for being here. This is going to be great.
Thank you, Ariane. Um, all right, so we'll move on to the client stories. Sarah is up first. We do have some people who have changed their name and will stay off camera because they want to stay somewhat anonymous for professional purposes. So, FYI. Okay. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay, so Sarah is our first client. Let's hear your incredible story, Sarah.
I already want to cry. My story started in 2019 when I was diagnosed with postpartum psychosis, about 7 months after my
Mom, guess what we
one.
got?
Sarah has a litter of kids also.
I am so sorry. The minute I got on,
Yes, so many
Oh,
more.
no, take care.
And we're going in house.
there are six of them. So they, oh, lovely.
And I stepped on it.
Awesome. Okay. Apparently they went and got blackberries and there were dead animals and they stepped on them. I am so sorry. There are six kids running around this household. Anyways, I got the postpartum psychosis diagnosis 7 months after my son was born. Um, I didn't know what was happening in my life. But I went to a mental health professional. They put me on risperidone. And I breastfed on risperidone, and I didn't like the side effects. And I didn't like the side effects on my son. I didn't like the side effects that I felt. And sometime in 2021, I stumbled across Megan, and she was called Trusted Canna Nurse at that point. And I had really become interested in cannabis and in other things. Um, but I came from a very strong Christian background, and so this was a avenue that I had never allowed to be open. But watching Megan, my interest peaked, and so in 20, so that was kid number four. So then when kid number five came along, I suffer from hyperemesis gravidarum, which commonly is called HD. And Megan helped me through that with microdosing cannabis and getting through the whole pregnancy, best pregnancy ever. And then I got pregnant with number six. And I skipped some. I'm so sorry. I joined Megan and Ariane's container group in 2023. And that was my first real uh, time with psychedelics. I had done my discovery call with Ariane, and I was a little bit scared. And I had a friend who was a doula and a master herbalist, and she had let me try um, psychedelics on its own without being in the capsules, and I didn't really like not being guided, and so I really needed structure. And so I joined the container group. I saw very strong results with my postpartum psychosis. Because in number five, my husband was gone. Um, and so I was raising five kids alone. And I was really suffering from the intrusive thoughts, from the constant chatter, brain noise, all the things. And so I got in this group and I stayed on the lowest dose through their guided methods and showed up for most of the meetings. Some of the meetings, life gets crazy. Obviously, you've seen all of my kids already bust through once. And so when I talked to Ariane, probably I want to say like at the very end of this last pregnancy, my last baby is 9 months old. And I was a little bit concerned about, what do psychedelics do? Does it cross the blood-brain barrier? Is it safe for babies? And she gave me all the information. And so ultimately, about 36 weeks, I decided to start microdosing again, to really gain that connection to my baby and to my body, because this was my fifth baby, but possibly my fifth C-section. And I really wanted to try for a home birth. And I felt like the connection that I had felt when I had microdosed and learned how to deal with my postpartum psychosis, I felt like those pathways were open. So I really, really wanted to be able to open that to my baby, and open those feelings and be able to feel those feelings in the postpartum realm, because my husband once again was going to be gone. And so it was just going to be me and six kids again. And so I needed that open. And so I microdosed 3 times that week, and I followed the every other day protocol. And on that Monday, I remember getting up and I just had so much chatter. And so I did the microdose. Sometimes I do it at night because I'm one of those that falls asleep while on it. And so had done it this morning, and I just couldn't feel my baby. Not that she wasn't moving. I couldn't feel my connection to her. And so it just felt black. And this was not normal. And at this point, I was 37 weeks and 2 days. And so I kind of went through the day. My husband was working, so he was unable to be reached. And so I just kept going, okay, Lord, you have given me this incredible incredible supplement to get connected to my baby. And I see how you're using this. So show me what I need to do. And I just kept feeling this black. Just everything was black. My connection to her was black. Everything was black. And so we ended up going to the hospital. And at the end of the day, and they asked me, how long has your water been broke? And I said, my water's not broken. And they said, are you sure about that? And I said, well, I have 5 kids. I've done this 5 times. And yep, I'm pretty sure that my water is not broken. And as they were looking at her, they were like, how long has her heart rate been like this? And I said, well, that's why we're here. She's just not moving right. She's just not acting right. And my connection with her doesn't feel right. And I never said that I had microdosed or any of those things. I just kept saying my connection wasn't right. And they said, okay, well, we're going to keep looking, and we'll come back to you. And as they were looking, the first thing I noticed, again, 5 kids, there was no fluid. And that's why they were asking if my water had broken. So no fluid, no nothing. And within an hour, baby was out. And what we learned was she was in fetal demise. They had done the cord gas test, and she was actively dying. And so that day, microdosing saved her life, and it saved my life, because I don't think I would have had that connection, that feeling to her that I had without microdosing and without knowing this medicine and understanding it and using it the correct way, and having Ariane and Megan, because when I started, Megan was still dealing with clients, so she's my bestie in that sense. So not having that, I feel like that connection really wouldn't have been there, and my number 6, my 9-month-old, wouldn't be here. And it took me a little while to share that, but when I shared that with other people, especially Ariane, it was just kind of an amazing connection. And I don't think that would have been there. We possibly could have lost that little girl, but having that chatter gone and being able to hear and feel her was thanks to being able to microdose and having that access.
Thank you, Sarah. That's beautiful. Mm, okay. All right. Amanda, you are next, and then Nurse M, you are after her.
Hey, just had to unmute myself. I'm gonna
Hey, 1 second. I need to
Oh,
figure out something real quick. Never mind. There we go.
Okay. Whew. All right. My name's Amanda. I'm a nurse. I'm a nurse that's worked with Megan a decade ago, long time ago. When she started doing this work, I was really excited. I knew I was gonna get like involved with it. I just didn't know when. It was August of 2024. I was 20 months postpartum. And I was not coping with my life at all. I was struggling every day to kind of figure out how I was going to exist because motherhood flipped me on my head. It completely distorted everything that I had built up to that point. And I found myself at 35 just completely unaware of who I was and not really capable of doing it on my own. I was on Lexapro. I have been on antidepressants since I was 12 years old. I have been on a lot of medications for most of my life. I have tremendous levels of trauma that extend from my childhood all the way into the career that I chose for myself. I didn't know these things until I started microdosing. So I started with Ariane, and she was really supportive. I had macrodosed a ton before, not a ton, but a good amount before I ever tried microdosing. And I did not have good experiences with them. I had really bad nausea. I was not somebody that was like a great tripper. um, I was kind of nervous about it. Ariane did a great job of like talking it through, making sure that I was comfortable. I never had any issues microdosing. It was probably like one of those progressive things where it was like week 1, I felt a little bit lighter. Week 2, I felt a little bit more like myself. Week 3, I had mood improvement. Week 4, I was feeling better in multiple ways that were new to me. And then there was just this moment where we were practicing gratitude and working through being present. And I realized that I had never really been present in my body. Like up until that point, I had been completely dissociating from my body for 35 years. And I had no concept that I was doing that until I was kind of forced to be back in my body with the microdosing. Um, it was tricky because I also started having flashbacks at that time. And I also started processing a lot of things that I'd never remembered about my life up until that point. I also got myself a therapist through working with somebody and continuing microdosing. I got to this really great place where I was able to accept my son's diagnosis of autism at age 2 while also just fully seeing myself in my child. There was just this really cool thing that happened where I was sitting in the assessment for my kid's autism, and we're talking about my family and we're talking about other people in my family who experience autistic like traits. And I realized that I'm not talking about myself at all. And then it becomes really clear to me that all the things that we're talking about relate to me. And then this really cool moment happened where I just really realized that I too was neurodivergent, and it had never once crossed my mind. I thought I was mentally ill my whole life. I didn't know that my brain was different. And having a different brain without accommodations does make you mentally ill. So for the first time in my life, I was able to like really look at myself, accept myself, feel my feelings, feel my body, be present for my kid, like work towards goals with my kid, but for myself. And then like re-mother, re-parent, re-exist. It was wild. It's still wild. It's been a really beautiful experience to see myself, to love myself, to experience my existence for what it's always been, but being able to see it now through all of the many lenses. And then for me, the most important part has been learning to unmask, because so much of who I was built into this idea of keep all four walls up and straight and just keep moving forward and you'll be just fine. But like I said, motherhood kind of made those walls fall down and I didn't know who I was anymore. So I, I very frequently say that microdosing saved my life. I also was able to get off of Lexapro for the first time in 7 years. And I love Lexapro. I'm a big, big fan of SSRIs. I think they save people's lives. I think there's a time and a place for them. Like I said, I'm a nurse, so medicine has a time and a place, but I was able to get off of Lexapro, and I've been off of Lexapro now for a year and some change. And getting off of Lexapro changed my life. I was numb. I had a reason to be numb, but I didn't want to be numb anymore. And I used the psilocybin microdosing and I used the LSD microdosing to give myself back serotonin as I lost it. Because when you get SSRIs, your serotonin is no longer being floated around your body. Your body sucks it all back up and you've got nothing circulating and it feels real bad. And so I was able to get off of my medication pretty easily. And when I got off of my medication, I was a completely different version of myself on the other side. I could see all of it for the first time in my life. It was clear as day, and it's been clear ever since. And so I'm just really grateful always. I also use psilocybin in work that I do with patients of my own. And I work with a lot of people that have addiction, and it's been beautiful to watch people have really good experiences where they feel their bodies. That's the most consistent thing that I see, and it's the most consistent thing I talk about is being back inside of your body, because I think a lot of us don't live inside of our bodies. And I think it's really special that something can put us in our bodies and make it easier for us to be in our bodies. There's something really nice about that.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for helping me through that.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that that's such a common thread is that, I think that the way that we live very externally, and the microdosing helps us reconnect internally with everything and like live our lives according to what we're feeling, not according to what what the culture and society says we're supposed to feel. So,
Yeah. Beautiful.
thank you.
You.
Okay, Nurse M.
Hey everyone. Thanks for those poignant stories. I'm gonna remain somewhat anonymous here. It's not really my style, but I think it's best for where I'm at in my career. So this, my story is now 8 years old, almost this week. It is a coincidence that it's this week that is the anniversary of my son's death, um and it's just time, it's time to start talking about this. So okay, so here's a little special treat for y'all. I asked AI to make my bullet points into spoken word, and I did not mean spoken word like poetry. However, that is what I got, so I'm gonna go with it. I think it'll be fun. My son, he was 33 when he left this world. The pain, indescribable. The grief, life-altering. I was shattered. My heart, my soul, my illusions that life would follow some predictable path. I wanted to die. I would have traded places with him in a heartbeat. I told him over and over from the depths of my mind, I'll be dead, you be alive. I actually believed it could work. I was sick, despite trying everything. Breath work, grief groups, cold plunges, music jams, nature, writing, therapy, meds. I mean, there's more. Nothing could find the switch to my body's innate capacity to heal. I was drowning. And then Megan, this incredible businesswoman, her microdosing became my life buoy. When I was ready to go under, it kept me afloat. I had this sense, this memory 2 positive macro experiments in my youth, long gone now, that maybe, just maybe, microdosing LSD could help me. And it did. LSD, it interacts with the 5-HT2A serotonin receptors, gently coaxing neuroplasticity, encouraging new synaptic connections. It helped me break the patterns, the negativity loops, and created space for healthier coping. And then something shifted. I started noticing joy, opportunity, positivity. My brain's reward system began to hum again. Dopamine flowing, motivation returning. Slowly, I moved from barely functioning to re-engaging with life in ways that mattered. I started racking up little wins, like learning how to cook nurturing, affordable meals for myself, like moving my body, light exercise, but it mattered, like finding healthy pauses between thought and reactivity, like building a relationship with that voice in my head, the one that never stops talking. And here's what I learned. Better living through chemicals? Well, sorry guys, it actually requires better living. So Ryan Carhart Harris and others remind us the benefits of psychedelic therapy can fade if you return to toxic environments, unhealthy workplaces, unsupported spaces. So be ready for shifts you did not plan on. Integration is everything. So thank you to my guide, Lacey. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Lacey. Thank you, thank you. Can't thank you enough. Integration is everything. It's the bridge. It's how you process the insights, apply them, sustain the benefits over time. Integration is how you make sense of the experience, how you turn it into meaningful change. And now I know at some point my work will call me, already has, to help parents, sorry, I'm a nurse, parents face this kind of loss. And when that call comes, I'm ready. And it's because of you guys. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Whew, I need a whole box of tissues here. Jeez. And I've heard these stories before. That's the thing. It's like still get me. Okay. All right. Now we're going to hear from Karin on resilience, gratitude, and joy.
Hi. Thanks, Megan. Not the 3 words I would have suspected that I would have chosen at the outset of this process for me. So surprising. If I was here listening to all of us, I would wonder, like, is this a cult? Like, what's happening here? And I almost want to downplay it and be like, but I can't, because this medicine is miraculous and has entirely transformed my life in ways that I could not even have fathomed were possible 6 months ago. I also I'm still working with Lacey, and who's amazing and kind of a genius in a lot of ways. And I just found I found in TheraCare and the whole thing online, and very intuitively, I told myself that it was because I needed a way to smoke less weed, which for me at that time was really about where I could spend less money in my life. And I've seen several funny quips on various social media about how when you begin a microdosing process with psilocybin, you think, oh, I'm going to do this for XYZ reasons, and then the medicine shows you what you're actually looking for that you didn't even know. And that's really, really true. And I think it's been reflected in what everybody has said so far, which is why I made the cult joke. It's just reinforcement of how profoundly impactful the medicine is, and with that, the the one-on-one work and the protocol and the containment. I couldn't have done it myself. What I said to Lacey on the discovery call, which I was so surprised I even booked, and then just showed up at, again, quite intuitively, which is how much of this has worked. And that is one of the things that's happened, is that my intuition has opened up in a new way in this co-creation with the medicine. In any case, I I told her that probably overarchingly, although I could pick any number of reasons or sort of complaints, what I was looking to address, for me, it really is the complex PTSD, the childhood stuff, the stuff that is over a protracted period of time and then changes the whole way your brain works and all that jazz. And then at the same time, I also, to an extent, the P part of PTSD isn't that relevant for many of us in this world today, because there's levels of trauma that are ongoing just in the world or in various things in our lives, situations. And for me, I had like moved states, you know, COVID, dad died, got pregnant, had a baby, got divorced, a whole bunch of things that happened that had left me with my nervous system. So it was as if I was metaphorically bleeding out in many ways. And I was just in a repetitive loop of not being able to gain any ground back. Cannabis has helped me a lot, and it is an entirely different relationship now that I'm not depending on it for survival in ways that I was last year. What happened for me was that I didn't even tell Lacey until, I don't know, past the halfway mark of our mini week program, about how much I was drinking, how much alcohol I was drinking, because I don't think I could even acknowledge it to myself, or like, I think I always had to build up the trust with her, which was key. The trust built in the relationship as you work through this is such a big part of what can open you up and deepen the impact of the medicine. And long story short, I very somewhat effortlessly did stop drinking in a way that I really couldn't have fathomed. All the, I'm sure, literature that I haven't read and everything that says that you can make changes in your life and change habits and very authentically and organically start to make healthier choices that build on themselves, like, that shit is true. I'm here to attest to it. And so it's been this cumulative effect with all the relationships in my life, most specifically with myself. And that's where the resilience has come from, because the other thing the medicine has done for me is actually show me what I have needed to address in my life that's very difficult. That's sort of been a constant dread that I haven't had the capacity to face yet. And I've been doing that, and I've been showing myself a resilience I didn't frankly know was possible. And I also, just throw it in there, I'm completely sure that I have the capacity now to feel gratitude and joy. No, I was going to say specifically gratitude, but it's both, in ways I'm not sure I've ever experienced in my life. And that, particularly having a little girl, is that really transforms one's entire life. So I can't say enough good things.
Awesome. Thank you, Karen. Yeah, we see that a lot, like with the alcohol, that a lot of people just kind of cut down or stop drinking altogether, and it wasn't even intentional. That happened with me. I wasn't a big drinker, but now I just choose not to drink alcohol because I don't like the way that it makes me feel. And I think that's definitely a common thread that we see throughout also. It's just not an intentional outcome, but it happens.
Figuring out how to mute myself again. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, we have two more left. We have two other amazing stories. So, Kim, you are up for brain injury recovery and self-love.
Yes. I had all kinds of stuff written down and I cried through most of those, well, pretty much all those stories. Thank you for inviting me. I have such an incredible experience to share. I started working with Ariane and gosh, I think it was officially December of 2024 on a wellness program. 5 to 6 days a week, I was waking up, dry heaving, vomiting, couldn't eat anything until the evening. So we worked on healing my stomach. And through that process, I established a trust relationship with her. And then realizing, just going back through my notes with my therapist. And last February of 2025, I actually was plotting my death. I was on 17 daily medications, including 3 psych meds, 2 opiates, blood pressure meds, cholesterol meds, stomach meds, make me go poop meds, make me stop pooping meds, you name it, I was on it. And I believed I needed these because my providers that I thought had my best interests in mind were prescribing them. So I decided I was going to try something different because life was just not working out for me. So I got a plan together with Ariane. We decided I would start trickling away at my psych meds. I had to discontinue Fetzima before we could really onboard the psilocybin therapy. That was challenging, but I was so motivated to get through it. Little did I know that was the easy part. So let's see. We started just doing my titrations. I started microdosing at about 3 weeks. I started noticing the scrambling of thoughts started becoming a little more manageable. Mind you, that I've got a little bit of brain damage from my craniotomy 6 years ago. My thoughts started reorganizing. The way I was storing memories was different. It's like instead of fragmented memories all over stored in my brain, it was like everything was being reorganized into pictographs where I could easily like think of my grandfather and all of my life experience with him and his memories were right in one easily retrievable area. And then from there, the brain fog started lifting. I started noticing things around me more. I was having issues with pain. I started kind of developing a new relationship with my pain. In the summer, I had a bilateral knee surgery, and this experience I'm about to share was about 10 weeks in, and I was had been paralyzed in my foot from the base of the toes through the tips for 6 years. 10 weeks into microdosing, I'm doing a controlled stretch, trying not to make my leg go into contraction, the one I just had the surgery on. And I feel something odd, and that's my big toe touching my little toe, and that's not normally the deal. They when they move independently, and I don't have any control. I was flabbergasted. Flip the covers back, and I'm telling my toes to move, and they're moving. Okay, and Aaron and Megan can attest to this. I was videotaping at 2:30 in the morning, sitting on my toilet with my camera pointed on my toes, crying my ass off because this was unheard of. I was told that if I didn't regain it, it was going to be gone. So for the next 4 days, all I did was trying to get it to match the speed and accuracy of the right foot. And, it's slow and those muscles have atrophied, but it's back and it's getting stronger. I bought my first pair of slides. Haven't been able to wear slides for 6 years. I got some Birks this year. Okay, so moving forward, through this process of coming off the psych meds, all of a sudden I have this courage to really reevaluate everything I'm doing in my life, including my health. That included all of these medications, these now 14 or 15 other medications that I'm taking, not including my daily PRNs. I started removing, letting my prescribers know, look, I'm coming off these medications. The blood pressure medication, I didn't change diet. I didn't add exercise. I simply added psilocybin and started removing medications. It's like my body knew what to do. Blood pressure is now restored. Heart rate is no longer resting in the 90s. And I'm talking blood pressure up like 200 over like 160s. Or I mean, it was just so crazy high, dangerously high. Um, I came off of narcotics after the first time in over 25 years of being pain management. Um, I have a whole new relationship with my pain. Once I came off the opiates, I think I had opioid induced hyperanagesia, which is I was on pain medications for so long, the pain medication wasn't working anymore, and my pain was just screaming louder and louder. And that's when I realized, okay, I'm taking all of this medication that's not allowing me to go to the bathroom. It's affecting this and this and this, and it's not addressing pain. I came off of that. Withdrawals have been very difficult, but I'm 9 weeks medication free today, and well, it'll be 9 weeks on Thursday. Let's talk about what it's given me back. My initial intention was to go in and get off psych meds. And I was doing it to avoid hurting relationships in my family, things that I really needed to heal in my life. And it had to start with me. But I don't think I went in this journey for me. But through this process, I discovered that I deserve this, and I discovered a whole new person that I had never even known, and I don't think she ever existed because I was medicated for the last 30 years, and my children don't even know who I am at this unmedicated. And gosh, it's my marriage is better. I'm more in tune with everything around me, from everything beneath my feet to God above. I mean, I feel connected. I was telling Megan last night, I'm rehoming giant spiders in my house because I know their creation was just important to our creator as I was. And so it's all, I can't even express it. Um, I'm fearless now. The things that kept me hidden in my house, afraid to go out because I was afraid of people triggering me or judging me, or just all that. You can't do it. You're ugly. You're fat. You're a crappy person. You're a terrible friend. You're a shitty mom. You're a bad wife. All of this stuff has now gone away. It's like that default mode network was shut off. I heard the most beautiful analogy of what psilocybin does. Okay, if you think of your internal narrative as a mountain covered in snow, and all those negative things, I'm a crappy friend, I'm a shitty person, all that, they make grooves in the snow. And no matter how hard you try, I'm not a shit, I'm a good person. You try and try and try to convince yourself, but it's going to slide back into that track of years of no fresh snow. Now, psilocybin is like a fresh snow that comes in and fills up all of those tracks in the snow. And now I am a good mom. I am a good wife. And that's staying. And every day I'm reinforcing that. And now my internal narrative is completely different. Um, Gosh, for the first time in decades, I feel self-love. I feel worthy. I'm going out this year. I'm showing up differently. I'm pushing myself to be better, to be the best version I can be. I'm trying new things. Um, I want to make sure that I stress how important it was for me to be working side by side with Ariane. I don't think I could have received such an incredible journey as I have without her guidance. She's never said, you got to do this and this and this. It's always an invitation, or, I invite you to look into this and, see where it lands. And that was beautiful for me. I never felt controlled, or, everything was my choice. And for the first time working with Megan and Ariane, I felt like I was a whole person. I wasn't a diagnosis for that specialty or a code or what I could be billed. The mind, body, spirit. that has been reintegrated through this process has been such a tremendously transformative and beautiful journey. My curiosity is back. I can't get enough education. I'm learning more about my brain injury, late radiation effects, how to return to a normal life. Ariane and psilocybin opened the door to something I never dreamed possible, and there are no words to put to what I've received. I honestly, I got to give up to God for this one. That's some pretty miraculous stuff. Yeah, and I'm still microdosing. I'm 11 months in, and I'm still in my protracted withdrawal phase of coming off of 17 medications, many of those for decades. And it's still rough. The neurotransmitters are still resetting. I'm still not sleeping. I still have issues with eating, GI upset, the panic, the fear, the anxiety. I'm telling myself now it's not psychological, it's physiological. That is just the reminder that your body is returning back to normal. It's getting there. I just got to hang out and just bear with it. I'm determined. I'm determined.
Mm. Thank you, Kim. That's such a beautiful story. And I think it's really a testament that like the healing journey is not linear, it's not exponential. It is like, you know,
And
to
it's not just my healing journey. It's everybody else that was affected by my sickness that it's now affecting. And I'm learning that some family members aren't really sure about it yet. At least that's what I'm feeling. But that's okay. I don't have to be on they don't have to be on my timeline. This is now my healing journey. I'll just stay in my lane, and when they're ready, they can come to me. All I can do is show up differently from now on, and be the best version of myself for my kids, my husband, and my grandchildren.
love that. So beautiful. Thank you for sharing. All right, we have our last story, and then we'll open up to questions for people. We'll probably go just a little bit past the hour mark. We'll probably end in about half an hour total. Um, and then after this, yeah, we'll open up for questions and then talk just a little bit about the programs that we offer. So, Tessa, this is all you.
Hi, thanks for having me. You guys were not joking when you said it was going to be a tear central. I severely underestimated. I had to turn my camera off and just go mildly weep, like while the stories were happening. Those were so powerful, and I now understand why Megan was like, "Do not feel like inadequate with your story," because mine, I have a little bit of a different experience with being able to microdose. I've had the opportunity to do it twice now. I'm currently on it, and then I did it about a year ago. I took some notes so I can think and speak clearly. So the first time I did it, I feel like the biggest two things that changed for me was I was able to like really optimize how I processed information and how I could redirect thinking. And then daily tasks were like the top two things that I noticed from the first program. I was able to, I have BPD, so being able to respond and not react has always been a lifelong journey. And so, with doing the microdosing, I was realizing that intense and sometimes even maybe traumatic situations would be happening to me, and I was able to slow down the information enough to healthily process it and not react in a crazy way. Well, I shouldn't say crazy, but just not react in an overwhelming way. Versus before, it was like that wasn't even a question. There was no pause, there was no stop. There was just go, go, go with emotions were fighting. And that's totally changed. And even from the time period when I was like off of the microdosing to now, in between there, my brain never fully went back to how I was before. And I always say to anyone who asks, I'm like, in that 8 weeks, I did more up here than I did in years of therapy. And I've been in years of therapy, like since I was 12. I'm 33 now. So I felt like with Ariane, there were just some waves that we were able to tackle that I don't think I would have ever dreamed of being able to tackle. I cannot stress enough how being able to redirect my thinking also has been so powerful. I'm the kind of person where I love a good spiral, especially if it's like benefits me in the moment. And so for me, I would have something happen, I'd be frustrated, and it was very quick for me to be like, "This sucks," and everything's terrible, and you're terrible, and blah, just that horrible chatter. And it takes me, and it would take me hours, if not sometimes I would just have to go to bed in that mindset. Now I can redirect that thinking with like 5 deep breaths and like calm pep talk, and it takes maybe 5 minutes to redirect, which is just, again, not something any medication could ever bring me. And I've been on boatloads of SSRIs, SNRIs, regular antidepressants, mood stabilizers, and the redirection part was like, what do you mean this little mushroom's making me do more than freaking Prozac and Zoloft and all those things combined? Like, it was insane. And then this time, the top 2 things I've been noticing so far is my relationship with food has completely changed. Before, even the first time, I would have cravings of like crap food, but like I swear those mushrooms were like, you want a vegetable, please eat a vegetable. And I just, was smoking a lot more weed the first time too. So I feel like some of those munchy feelings might have been able to be overpowered. But now I'm smoking significantly less weed. And I'm noticing that when I have cravings, I don't want that crappy food. And there have been times where I'm like, I'm just gonna get it. I'm just gonna see. And I get it and I feel horrible. And it's not the same. And this is mind-boggling for me because I fall on the side of like emotional overeating and have my entire life. So comfort food is basically what I'm trying to say, like, and usually comfort food isn't always the best. So to have a new pathway coming in, feeling like being like, oh my God, all of a sudden I do really know I want that spinach. I'll take an antihistamine. No, I want that bag of carrots. I'll be fine. Like, just really kind of changing how I'm experiencing with food. So that's been crazy. And the other thing is I've been able to think more long term. I feel like I've never really thought before it been able to think in 5-year increments, 10-year increments, especially coming from addiction, like again, extreme mental health. It was always kind of been either you're getting through the moment, you're getting through the day, or like you've been good and we're just getting through the next couple months. And for the first time ever, I've been able to kind of conceptualize what 5 years down the road looks like. And especially because like I don't have children, that helps you so much to be able to conceptualize long-term stuff, you know what I mean? But not having it, it just felt like I was been kind of like living my life by the seat of my pants. And I feel like I'm able to sit down now and really look and plan. And that's just not the way my brain worked before. I don't know, my brain just doesn't, it's very type B, and I'm getting some really cool. I like to joke with Megan a lot and Ariane, like, I'm getting a neurotypical brain. That's what's happening to me. Like, I'm getting to experience what they experience. I get it now. I get why they're like, just join the 401k, just make the 5-year plan. I'm like, now I think I can do that. Like, it's been life changing. And I wanted to say there was something that Karin said that really like sparked up here when they were talking about their relationship with alcohol. They talked about how if you trust your nurse you're with, it is going to direct how the program affects you, and like how much trust you can give is gonna kind of guide how much you're going to be able to change. And I think I've been through a lot of rehabs, and going on this program, it was really one of the first times that I was able to experience a negative experience with alcohol. Usually it was very positive, and these medical mushies made my brain take it back to the downers. And because I had not had a negative experience with alcohol, it really wasn't something that I was comfortable tackling or even expressing to therapists or people in the rehab centers that I don't know, that I wasn't maybe comfy with, but being able to have it be more of a downer and trusting Arian, I was able to have that conversation and work through some of those feelings of like, no, it's okay that you don't want to drink anymore and you're not weird for that. And it's not like I was able to navigate a lot of different feelings around that. And that had come up. That wasn't something I had gone into the program even thinking I was going to deal with at all. I was going into the program mainly because of like my mood swings and how my mental health was affecting me. So to have my entire relationship with alcohol completely change because of how it was affecting me chemically, because of the mushrooms, that was insane. And I don't think I would have been able to even have that conversation had I really not had a good trusting relationship with Ariane. And yeah, I feel like if you're you want to do the program, I can't recommend it enough. That's all I have to say.
Oh, thank you so much, Tessa. And I think that like the thing with the food that like, a part of you said like eat the vegetable. I think that that's the whole mind body connection that, when that our bodies will crave, foods that we're missing. And then to be able to like tap into that and be like, oh, okay, maybe I need like some iron. So I'm like craving a steak, or maybe I need this thing. So I'm craving spinach, and be able to actually like listen to that part of your body. And then I like that you like tested your intuition. You were like, I'm going to eat the crap food anyways, even though there's part of me that says don't do it, And that's sometimes we like to prove our intuition wrong, and that's very hard to do. So thank you so much, Tessa, for sharing that. That's a beautiful story. And that wraps up our stories. And so I just want to get into, if people are interested in working with us, this is what we offer. We're going to put some links in the chat here. And at the end of the meeting, I just want to invite the people who presented to stay after if you would like, if we need, to debrief or anything, you can stay on. So what we offer is like the one-on-one support. Ariane's putting the links in the chat. And how it works is you book a free discovery call with either Ariane or Lacey. They go through your medications, they go through what you want to get out of the program and whether or not microdosing would be appropriate. Because sometimes it's not appropriate for everybody. So they take the screening process very seriously. We have turned people away because because of medications or previous severe mental health issues where it just wasn't appropriate. But if it is appropriate, we have different one-on-one programs, and they will, recommend one of those programs. And then starting June 1st, we haven't done a group program in like 2 years. We're doing our Summer Serenity microdosing group. Tessa will be joining us on this group as well. This is an 8-week container going on over the summer, and we'll be meeting weekly. Ariane will be leading this group. And we'll be meeting weekly. The supplements are included with this group. And you know what, Ariane, if you're on, would you tell us, kind of the difference between the one-on-one and the group containers real quickly?
Yeah, so I mean, the main difference between one-on-one and group is like one is like like one-on-one is like directly we're working together. It's very individualized. There's an hour call that is just like me and you talking about different things. And I talk to people a lot about mindfulness stuff, mindfulness-based modalities, because mindfulness and microdosing like literally go hand in hand, and it really helps shift the perspective around things when you start bringing your awareness around different aspects of life intentionally. But so it's like we're doing this one-on-one, right? There's that type. In a group, like take that and just put it into a group container. Like there's still the 8 calls once a week for 8 weeks, but you're in a group where we are sharing what's going on with each person, sharing experiences that they're going through. It's supportive. So you can come just to be witnessed and shared, or you can like ask for advice, and the intention is for the group to really show up and support each other. With the group, there is a private messaging that happens, and within that too, it's like always being shared and things like that. So, but the overarching theme, because mindfulness does go so deeply with psychedelics in general. Yep, I'll be talking a lot about that as well within it. But that's really the difference between the group is like one is if you want one-on-one group, there's a lot of opportunity in group as far as healing goes, because when we witness each other, then we see that we're not actually alone and everybody has a similar story or is worth walking a parallel path. So you can see your own personal reality reflected from somebody around you, and it is deeply transformational, especially when we are talking about what we're moving towards and how we're uplifting each other and we're working through and transforming things. And I don't know how to put it in any other ways than that, because that's what happens when a group container. So both are awesome, but that's the difference. I hope that answers.
Yes, yes, thank you. I started my microdosing journey in a group container, and it's wonderful because this journey is very hard to it can be very isolating because the outside world is staying the same, but you are changing. So to be able to relate to people who are also changing in similar ways is pretty profound. And then, to have the weekly meetings where we integrate and we get to share our stories, and then the group chat in the middle of it, where we can share our little wins is really, really great. So both of these programs are start with a discovery call, again, to talk it through with the nurse and make sure that it's a good idea. And then we offer flexible payment plans, and then we accept FSA and HSA as well. Okay, with that, I want to open it up to questions. You are welcome to ask the presenters questions. Presenters, you are, if you're not comfortable answering the question, you don't have to. And I think this is the last slide. Here's our contact info, and then Ariane has put the links in the chat. So are there any questions? Ariane, you're going to have to either questions in the chat, or if people want to
There's
unmute
not any
themselves.
questions in the chat right this moment. I can look back to see what there was, but do you want me to keep recording?
Let's stop the recording. All right, thank you everybody who has watched this.